Hi guys, welcome to 4th episode of free CSS course. In this lesson, we will learn how to use CSS and how CSS works. So let's get started. Let's start with how we can use CSS. CSS can be used with HTML in 3 different ways. Number 1 is inline CSS, number 2 is internal CSS, and number 3 is external CSS. First, we have inline CSS. Inline CSS is a very simple usage of CSS. We always use it in HTML but don't recognize it, and we think that this is part of HTML. The term we use in HTML is style tag, which is absolutely CSS. HTML customization is very limited, so we use the style inside the HTML tags like paragraph tag, heading tag, images tag, and other tags to give some style, and for this we use style tag. And this type of CSS is called inline CSS. So let's try inline CSS. Let's open the HTML file that we have created in a previous lesson. Now on my desktop you can see that I have opened the HTML file in Visual Studio Code. Now in inline CSS we use style tag to give customization and to use CSS. So let's write style in paragraph tag inside the opening tag of paragraph. So let's write style, and there are a lot of options you can see that we can use, and this is all CSS. So let's say we want to change the font family, and let's say we want to change it to Verdana. Now let's save this and go to terminal and click on the run active file. Now as you can see that the font family is now Verdana. Let's try another font so we can see the changes. So go to Visual Studio Code and here we will change it to Helvetica. Let's remove these. Now let's save it and refresh the browser. Now you can see that the font is changed to Helvetica. So by this way we can use style tag inside the paragraph in order to use CSS. So by this way we can use inline CSS. Now let's move on to number 2, which is internal CSS. In internal CSS we use CSS inside the HTML file but do not use it inside the HTML tags like paragraph, headings, etc. But instead we create its own tag with the name style inside the opening and closing tag of the head tag. So let's try internal CSS. Again open the same file that we have used for inline CSS. Now head over to head tag, and inside opening and closing tag of head tag we will write style, opening and closing tag. Now we have to refer to the tag we will be customizing. So in this case we have paragraph P. So write paragraph P, and in curly brackets we will give the command. So in this case let's say we want to change the background color of the paragraph. So write background color and let's give it a dark blue. Also let's change the font family. Now let's give it a Times New Roman. Control save and go to terminal, run active file, and let's see the results. As you can see that we have changed the font family to Times New Roman and also the background color to dark blue. And this is how we can use internal CSS, and it is also defined from its name. Now the third one is external CSS. We already discussed the external method in previous lesson, but let's do it again so we can understand the difference between these 3 methods. So open the same file again. Now we have to create a CSS file. So let's give it a name sample.css. Click enter and you can see that we have created CSS file. Next we have to do is to connect these 2 files. So let's move on to HTML file, and in head tag we will write link. Location of the file is the same as name, so sample.css. Now let's close this tag. Control S. Now move on to sample CSS. Now here we will give first reference. So we will be customizing the paragraph. Let's say P and curly brackets. Now inside these curly brackets we will be giving the command. Let's say change the font family This time we will be using, let's say, impact. Now also let's say change the background color to brown and Control S. Now move on to HTML file. Let's again, for the safety, click on the Control S and go to terminal, run active file. Now you can see that the font family is impact and the background color is brown. So this is how we can use the external CSS. So these are the three main types of CSS. Now here's the problem in external and internal CSS. If you want to change the paragraph color, then it will change for all the paragraphs. Let's say you want to change the paragraph background color for only one paragraph. So for this we use ID. So we will give ID to each paragraph. So we will refer to the ID to change the background color. So let's try this. Now I am inside the HTML file. Now to show the example, let's create the another paragraph. So let's copy this and paste it here. Now let's say you want to change the background and font family color of only the second one, not the first one. As you can see on CSS, we refer to P. So it will change the background color and font family of the both paragraphs. But we don't want that. We just want to change the second paragraph background color and font family. So for this we use IDs. So let's give it an ID. And inside it, let's say we give it second P. Now this is the ID of this paragraph. Now we can refer this paragraph by using ID. So here we will write hash and second P. Now this is the ID and you can see that it will only change the background color and font family of this paragraph. So let's save it. Also let's save this and run this active file. Now you can see that only the second paragraph is customized and the first one is the same as it is. So by this way we can use IDs to customize the specific element that we want. Now let's say you want to customize the whole container. For this we use div. Div is a container which contains tags and we can give ID to the div and it will customize the whole container. Let's create a div file. Div opening and closing. Let's copy these paragraphs and paste it inside the div. Now we have two paragraphs inside the div and two outside. Let's give it ID to div. Let's say paragraph and go to sample CSS. Here also write paragraph. Now when we save this, it will only change the background color and font family of this div, this container, and it will not be changed. So let's save this and run our active file. Now you can see that this is the div, the container, and it contained two paragraphs, and we customized these two paragraphs by changing the background color and the font family. And the other two, you can see that these are not changed. So by this way we can use IDs, divs, and the three methods that we discussed. That's it for this lesson. If you are new, please support us by subscribing and liking this video, and see you in the next lesson.